Hello, welcome back to another segment in a Spiritual Ascension, my own personal 5-year journey, where I tell everything that had happened during my 5-year ascension journey. And right now I'm talking about things that led up to that journey. So if you've been following along, and I hope you have, so if you're just coming to this video, please go back to the intro video and then follow along in that way because it's going to be like you needing to kind of catch up, and I'm kind of going year by year. So in the last video, I talked about 2018, where um, it was kind of a low-key year. I had just finished my psychic skills training. Um, I became a Reiki master in that year and kind of doing a lot of research and study. I studied metaphysics intensely, and just wanting to know more because now that I had my psychic abilities back, because I always had them, but actually they're passed down through my grandmother. And um, actually, I'm going to tell a story about that. um, but I lost them because of religion and religion telling me that it was bad to have those abilities. And also, my mother didn't practice her abilities either. I believe that she did, but um, her religion, our religion at the time, said that that was evil and bad to do anything like that. Anyway, I was told you about some of the instructions that my father had told me. And he said, of course, to reignite your abilities. And another thing he had told me was to learn tarot. And I remember when I first bought my very first cards, which are here. I guess that was back in 2017. You can see how beat up they are, kind of, but they have very strong energy to them. Um, I remember trying to understand, get a book and try to figure this out. And I was like, oh my goodness, like it was a lot to try to figure out. And also, um, anyone can learn tarot, but when you really get into the deeper understanding of a spiritual journey, an ascension journey, that's where the tarot comes in. The tarot talks about having well, it talks about the Fool. The first major arcana is the Fool card, and it's the number 0 card in the major arcana. And he is kind of lightweight and fancy free, not caring a lot, not thinking about a lot. He's being spontaneous, taking off on a journey. He's only carrying one little pack with him. And it's funny because that's actually what ended up happening to me. So I'm going to talk more about tarot in another video, but that was one of the other things my father had told me to do. He said to learn tarot. Um, he also said, I hadn't really wanted to mention this part, but he also said that there would be a soulmate coming in for me. And of course, I got excited because one of the other things that you'll probably recognize in your journey is that relationships are difficult. Not only romantic relationships, but also any other relationship, because it's meant for you to ascend. And in order to do that, you really need to do that alone on your own. So you're going to be spending a lot of time on your own. Um, but because I didn't know I was going on that journey at the time, I anyone I that came kind of into my existence, I'm like, is this him? Is this him? Anyway, we'll get into that later. I did do a video, I think earlier on what I thought about um, twin flames. And I'm going to do more of an in-depth um, video on that later on because I feel like I'm still going through that journey. And I want to give my wholehearted, honest answer about that. Okay. Because it's different, kind of different for everyone, but there is also that kind of runner chaser energy. Okay. That's all I'm going to say about that for now because I'll start going on. Trying to get back to finishing up 2018. So at the end of 2018, also one of the things my father said, now my father's in spirit, he's passed on, but he's given me so many different instructions, was that I was going to leave my Wall Street job. And I was like, how am I going to do that? You know, even though I was making a big salary, I spent a lot of money and I couldn't see how I was going to be able to live in New York City, which is very expensive, and not work. For many years, I had also been interested in yoga. I attend many yoga classes and I wanted to become certified, do my 200 hours of yoga certification, and eventually open up a yoga studio. The town where I lived um, then in Westchester County was the only town in Westchester County that did not have a yoga studio. So I'm like, oh my God, what a perfect opportunity for me to be able to open up a yoga studio here. Um, I remember I was coming up on the train one day. I got off the train from Manhattan from work. I had stopped and did a yoga class in the city. I got on the train and was walking home, and this young lady stopped me and she goes, did you just come from like a yoga class? And I said, oh, yeah. She goes, there's a yoga studio around here. And I said, oh, no, not in this town. I did it in the city. She goes, oh, I was wondering because, I didn't, know that there's no yoga studio in the town that we lived. So that really got me thinking, saying, wow, what a great opportunity this would be to open a yoga studio here. Anyway, going back to the start now of 2019, which became a very pivotal year. My oldest son was in the Marines and he was in Japan. And I had told him about a year before that I was going to, come and visit him in Japan. And I was able to book a flight in February of 2019. I didn't realize at the time how important that visit would be. So mid-February, I flew out to Japan, I think on a Thursday night. And actually, you kind of lose one day, and I landed there Saturday morning. So I missed totally all day Friday. Um, he's in Okinawa, and the next day we flew out to Tokyo and spent the night there. And he showed me all around Tokyo, and we flew back. And then just spent the next couple of days with him. He took me all around. We rode all the whole length, what do you call, perimeter of Japan, just absolutely beautiful. And um, just spending that time because he had already, by that time, been in the Marines for, I would say, about 15 years or so. And I didn't really get to see him a lot because he was in the wars, and he left right after high school in 2005 and went directly into the Marines. So he would come home, every once in a while, but it was just spending that time. I didn't realize how important it would be later on. Anyway, um, when I came back, it probably was the end of March that my boss had come to me and said they're thinking about getting rid of some of the people that had the same um, work title as I did. And she came to me confidentially about this. And I, she says, don't worry, you're going to be all right. I'll, you know, make sure that, you keep your job. Her and I had worked together for a long time, so I wasn't worried. And we had already gone through many layoffs, during the recession and things like that. And I had never lost my job. So I was confident that I would be okay. One day she called me into her office and just said that, just make sure when they do come to you that, you kind of lay it out, everything, that you've been doing. And, I'm going to go to bat for you. So don't worry. And it kind of, I had that epiphany moment, that aha moment. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is, this is it. They're trying. Oh, actually, let me back up. I'm sorry. There was a choice. So you got to choose whether you wanted to leave or not. And they would, of course, give you a package, severance package. And I, at first, you said, I'm staying, and when she said that to me, the second time she came to me, it kind of hit me. And like, this is what my father was telling me about. This is my way to break away from this job. And it had got to the point where I didn't really have another choice but to stay. I needed to work. I was in my early 50s also, so telling my age now. And I knew I needed to continue working and was not ready to retire. And but I also was looking forward to the opportunity to do my yoga um, certification, and to now, with the severance money, I could open up a studio and also do my spiritual work, because I had my abilities and I was already doing readings. I was already doing Reiki healing. So I'm saying, like, I can open up a whole studio, and also have others come and do readings if they wanted to within that studio, within that space. Um, so I went back to her and I said, I think I want to take the package. And she was like blown away, like, no, you can't leave. Like, like, I need you. Like, her and I have been really working together for so long. And she was devastated, but I saw that was my way out. I understood that this is what my father had intended for me to do. And it's something how you never know how a miracle is going to come into your life. And I couldn't see any way out of just leaving my job, but now the divine was coming and giving me this opportunity to leave and also still have money to live off of. So I'm going to end it there. I don't want to go too long, but please like, share, and subscribe. If you would like to talk to me about your own journey, please see the link below. to book time with me. I've also done several courses on the Ascension journey, and that link is also below. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.